I'm Mr. Martinson. We're going to show you the basics of how you work with the Tricaster. The Tricaster is a specialized piece of equipment that we've got that allows you to work with all of the different video sources that you've got in front of you when you're putting together the live video cast. Something that I tell people is it's the least work prior to broadcast, but when you're in broadcast, it's the most important and most critical job, because really your responsibility when you're working with the Tricaster is to make sure that all of the video sources are switched properly, that the videos are run properly. It's basically responsible for all of the timing in making the video broadcasts look good. And because of it, it does require some specialized skills. So I'm going to try to step you through some of the steps involved in working with the Tricaster. Some basic things about working with it. You have different cameras that are showing up in the live output part of your screen in front of you. Live output is what the public is seeing. Switching back and forth between the different elements is a fairly simple process. You've got live output, which is what is going out to the public, either being recorded or via the streaming, or ultimately also through the cable system, the in-house cable system. On the lower part of the button bar are choices for different inputs that you can go to next. And then you have this T-bar that switches back and forth between the different video elements. So let's say I chose to go to a video from here, or a picture from here. I'm going to click on Pick, which is going to show up in the preview elements here. And then after I pull the T-bar towards me, you see that it switches to that particular thing as the live output. And what was in the preview gets put into live output, and then live output goes back to preview. So the two switch back and forth, which works pretty well for most of what we do with the broadcast, because most of what we're doing is switching back and forth between camera elements and the videos that we're broadcasting. So let's talk next about the elements down here, which is the DDR. And DDR is the elements for videos that you run in your broadcast. Those are going to be loaded from our staging machine, which is off to the side here, and I'll show you how to access that a little later in our video. That's sort of a specialized component of moving videos onto the timeline so that they can be broadcast each day. So when a student finishes a video project, they put it into a staging server, and then you retrieve that from the staging server, put it onto the Tricaster for broadcast, and then ultimately you're going to be loading that into the timeline for the video elements that we're running live on the Tricaster. And so what we do is we try to put all of our videos in a timeline here in order of how they're broadcast. If you notice here, I have an intro followed by a video, in this case about prom, an after party video, the counselor's minute, and then the close. And so I've ordered those in the way that I plan to run them on the script. Your script will list the elements that you're working with, and so you'll want to highlight that when the teleprompter operators are done, or when the anchors are finished with writing the script, in a way that you can see the order of the video. So I would say I usually highlight those things so that I can see that my DDR is in the proper order for things to go. Another thing that's very important for you to remember is that we want to put the DDR elements in playback mode selection and in queue. And the reason for that is selection means that I'm playing just the selection, just the thing that I currently have selected. If I'm going in order of list, it's going to automatically play the next video, and that's not at all what I want, because what's going to happen is we'll crash one video into the next, and that causes some chaos in broadcast, and that's the sort of thing you want to avoid. So you're choosing selection, and then you'll want to press the button that says Q here. The Q button is used to specify that when I run a video, it's going to automatically play that video and then stop at the very end, which is exactly what you want as an effect, because what you're going to do is select DDR in your VCR in our preview element down here under the next on the terminal here. So I'm selecting VCR. I'm currently on cam 3, which is the camera that we're looking at right now. I'm going to go to a video of our intro to the newscast. I simply go cam 3 VCR, and I'm going to press the take button or the T bar to move back and forth between those elements. So let's do that. So that's how you would queue up a video, how you would go through the process of setting up a video in order to make it run broadcast. What you're going to do is, while that video is live, you're selecting the next element that you're going to be running. In our 2-camera video setup, what you'll do is select one of the 2 cameras that are going to be the next camera for broadcast, and it's usually going to list the anchor's name. So you'll select the camera that best fits the person that's going to speak next by selecting that element in the next element here, and then at the end of the video, you don't have to press take or pull the T-bar down. When you have the videos in queue, what it will automatically do is, once the video has come to an end, it's going to stop, and then the next element is going to load up. So that's how you would do that. Let's talk then about choosing, say, a picture element, and pictures are something that we could do more of in our broadcast. It's just a matter of selecting the pick on our button bar here. So I'm going to select pick and choose take, and picks will run just as well as any other video element that we're working with. So adding to that is the same as adding to DDR, and you can see the picture element listed here on the picture side of the effects bar on what we're doing. Another thing that you'll want to be able to know how to do is to add items either in DDR over here on this side of the screen, or pictures over on this side of the screen in the DDR picture tab of our selections here. So I'm going to click add, and it will start some file I/O, which will allow me to select the right video for adding to the timeline. Right now it selects Tricaster D Media RAHS Report today. Now that seems like a very complicated way to go about where we put things. There's a shortcut on the desktop for putting that in, and I'll show you that in a few minutes, but it's a way for us to isolate what's currently running from all the other videos that we're running, and they do backup, so it gives us an opportunity to kind of keep that together. And the problem is the hard drive will fill up unless we keep that up to date. So I'm gonna select, say, as seen Monday here, and that goes into our timeline. Now notice that it went into a random spot on the timeline. Let's say I want to move that video so that it comes in at the top of our timeline, and the way you do that is by selecting as seen Monday and then moving it up or down on the timeline in the proper order. The same thing is true with pictures. On the picture side, I can simply choose add to add a picture element to our setup here. We notice that it goes to Tricaster D Media RAHS Report Pictures, which is also a good place to keep all of our picture elements together. So for example, I have a building picture that I can add to what's selected here. It's in our picture elements. Let's say I'm going to that. I select it in preview here by choosing the next element. Then I can either choose take, and the picture becomes live, or I can choose the T-bar, and the effect makes that happen on our live stream. I think that pretty much covers the basics of things.